Hi everyone, this is Board Games and Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I want to show you the super cool, to me, for several reasons, the Seal of Cthulhu, which is a new two-player game kind of set in the Lovecraft universe. It has ideas I haven't seen before, and I like that combination of things that I'm going to explain. It also has a packaging to it that I think is super cool and makes it really set the mood for the game we're about to play. Now, I'm going to get back to this in a second, but the thrust of the game is it's a two-player game. You're going to have your own personalities with your own powers, perhaps even your own scoring criteria. Then you're going to get all these cards. Each player is going to have their own set of matching cards. It's going to be cards that are items and then a boss card. And what happens is you get these cards and you're going to flip them over and you're going to pick one of them. Now you know what card you're going to put down and you're going to put it down for a bid, but the opponent does not know what the card is. And then literally blind bid for that other person, they have to bid for this card. Now what happens is when they win this card via bid, they lose whatever currency they put out, and this person gains that currency. However, the person who won the card flips it over, and they're going to have a power, or they're going to have half of a power that in the future will give them points. It'll give them a special power that can change the layout of the land, the scoring criteria like this. Now, this is the type of game where you are going to have to play it. Not have to, but you will want to play it multiple times in a row. The combination of the boss that you choose and the personality that you choose in the game really gives each game a new little rub. And I would say the games run about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. I'll say 15 minutes there because there's a lot of debating on what you want to do. What makes this super cool is that the cards, kind of like San Juan or Race for the Galaxy or a bunch of different games like that, serve a lot of different purposes. So when you put this out, it's not only going to give you scoring points, VPs at the top, you can actually spend the card itself as currency. Now, that's a double-edged sword, right? Because you might have spent currency to win it. The card now becomes currency. If you want to spend it on the future and trade it in, you certainly might, but maybe you're completing two halves of the bookend for the other person. Now, I'm going to talk about the cards specifically and kind of what makes them cool in a second, but I want to get back to this box. So the box here comes, and it's really, really cool. It looks just like an old book that's been locked away, and essentially you're opening this to kind of like seal the gates and save the world. I love how the bottom of it looks like old pages of an old manuscript. So you slide this cover off here, the chain comes off. You're going to get to a box here that has a magnet seal. When you open it, it's going to feel a lot like a kind of like one of those mail order solve a crime things where you get a whole bunch of reading material. It looks like a lockbox. It says right here, before you do anything, read this, and this sets the stage of why you're into the game. Then it has some extra information here, just things to set the mood. It even comes over here with an old piece of newspaper, a cutout article that adds to the whole world and mythos of what you're doing here. Then you move that over, you're going to get your actual bidding pawns here. You're going to have purple and you're going to have, tan there. That's for the other person. You're going to have your first player marker in the game. Look how good the production is. A file card from your Rolodex with more information there for you. Some random stuff here that's just kind of like advertisements. The rules of the book that stay in keeping with everything else. Everything keeps you in the world. And then you're going to have this bag where you keep the rest of your cards. So I'm going to put that out there for now. Okay, so let's open this up here. These are some of the cards in the game. Now, you'll see here that what I have in the bag are the other bosses in the game. So we're going to kind of discuss what the cards are. So it's really important in my plays that you have your personas. Without the personas, the game is a little bit more superficial in your choices, but with this adds complexity and it makes you look down the road at what you're going to do, as well as the boss cards, because some of the boss cards are really beneficial to you now. Some of them are kind of like hot potatoes you want to get rid of and you want to trick the other person into getting them. So the pull and the give, the yin and the yang of the game changes up too, and you never know when it's coming. That's kind of fun. So let's talk about the personalities you're going to have in the game. Remember, you're trying to make combinations of cards here to score points that'll become currency and powers. This one here, now I will say the personalities here, essentially imitate and echo everything in the other pile. Same for the cards. Okay, so we'll only look at the purples for now. So Blade in the Mist, this personality. It says here, the Blade in the Mist strikes terror in the heart of the investigator team. At the end of the game, you may sacrifice any of your opponent's influencers. Those are our scoring pawns here. Let's put this out here so you can see these. These are called your influencers, and that's why the cards also have an influence value. Purple is going to get there 4. And the other person is going to get there 4. So imagine this card was in the center and it was flipped down. And I say, I want to own this for myself for 1. This person outbids you and they put 2. Okay, there's 2 people on there. And you say, fine, you can have it. This person is going to take all of these pawns for themselves. And green over here, this person, beige I should say, is going to win this, and that's going to be their card. It's face up. Currently, they have 3 points, and they're in the lead. You're going to play 5 turns. In other words, you have 6 cards. You're going to play 5 of them. 1 will be left in your hand. And at the end of that, you score whatever is face up, unless you have a boss that says you actually score the cards that are face down. Another fun twist in the game. Okay, so again, we look here, and Blade in the Mist. It says here, at the end of the game, you may sacrifice any of your opponent's influencers that you control, meaning I have it in my pile. When I do this, I gain 1 point. So I actually have 2 points here. So what'll be happening is when I spend in the future on my next turn, I'm not going to spend my opponent's pawns. I'm going to spend my own. I don't care if they have it or not, because I want to keep those tan ones for myself in that case. So it kind of changes little things you wouldn't notice, okay? The Golden Dawn. Once per game, you may force an opponent to turn their bid face up. Okay, meaning normally you put the bid down, you have to face it up. So now you know what you're getting into. Pulling the trigger on that's pretty important. Enforcer of Truth. At the end of your turn, you may swap your hand with your opponent's. Your opponent always plays first. Okay, now you can swap your hands, meaning essentially you take the lead. So that one's going to keep you really close there, okay? Herald of Arrival. Once per game, you may replace a card you control with 1 card from outside the game, meaning that's back in the box or something like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, now that might be beneficial because you don't have enough to outbid on a card. That would come into play like if this person wants to complete a boss and you have the card, you don't have enough to outbid them. So instead of giving them that, you'll just swap it out and let them win a useless card. Okay. Now, as far as the cards over here themselves, what do they do? So we'll save the boss for last. We'll revisit those bosses. But these cards are always in every game. There's 5 of them. Okay. We'll start with the number 1 card, which is the Gate Closure. Now, what this says is you're going to get 1 point for this card if it's face up. So if you have 2 cards, you have 2 points face up. You can also spend this card as currency, as 5. That's a lot of currency. That's more than you have pawns. So it might not seem like it's advantageous to get this card in the beginning because it's so low. But it actually, if you want to spend it as currency, you can convert it and spend it on 5 to buy something really important. So again, there's a balancing act. It seems like in a whole bunch of the different phases of the game, there's a balancing act. You're balancing your person. You're balancing which men you want to spend, which pawns you want to spend at what time, when you want to buy this card. Do I want to buy it because I think I'm going to discard it? When do I want to swap something out? X, Y, and Z. Just keeps going. Okay, so Gate Closure. If you control both face up, meaning my color and I own the opponent's color, and they come together to form 1 item, and just so you know, what will that look like when you do such a thing? They're going to have the other side there. And when you get both, it's going to be face up. Now, what you'll notice here, when I have both face up, right there, okay, there's a 1 here and there's a 5 there. That card in total is worth 6. So it says here, if you control both face up, you may flip one of these face down. If you do, flip another face up card face down. So what's the implication of that? You might say to yourself, well, clearly if this card's 1 point and that's 5 points, I'm going to flip the 1 point card down and maybe flip something else down. Well, not necessarily. If you have the personality or the boss card that says you score for face down, you're definitely going to go for the 5. So again, timing is everything. Are you going to want to flip this down, hoping that in the future you're going to win the boss card that says you score for face down? Timing comes into it a lot too. Another really good element there. Okay, the journal. Okay, the journal says if you control both face-up cards, you may swap 1 face-up card you control with one from your hand. Okay, basically that means you're going to sacrifice this, hopefully to pull something from your hand to match a tan card, and you'll have some points on the board and a power that you can use. These powers, by the way, you can use at any time. Okay, and essentially they're one use, right? Because they mostly say face up, so if you turn one down, it's not active. The potion, okay, there's 3 points here. You may flip this card face down to flip another face down card you have face up, right, to reactivate. Maybe save the day, counterpoint something the opponent does. The Necronomicon. If you control both cards face up, you may swap one face down card you control with one from your hand. Again, kind of the same concept. And the scoring isn't always the same, card to card, like you saw before with the 1 and the 5. With the gate, it says here, it scores 5, this is 1 point. If you control both face up, you may flip one of these face down. If you do, flip another face down card face up. Okay, so that's almost the opposite effect of the other one. So you'll see that the cards don't necessarily all match in terms of points. Again, we have this thing over here where together it equals 6, right? 5 on the side, 1 on this side. The influence here is 1. The influence here is 5. So altogether, you get that 6 number. Let's take a look at some of the other things here for you. We'll pull up this right here, the journal, right? So the journal says 4 over there, and over here it says 2. So we have that 6 balance. And then this has the influence, the currency of 4, and that has a currency of 2. Okay, so you kind of get the idea there. Let's take a look at the bosses you can choose from. So probably going to start with this one. Now you would think after all of my long life with Eldritch Horror and Elder Signs and everything, I'd be able to pronounce these, but good luck. I've even read the books. If you control both face up, flip both face down, you'll only score face down cards at the end of the game. Wow, right there. I love it. Okay, that can really turn the tide. Shub Nagarath. If you control both face up, flip one face down, your opponent then looks at your hand and chooses the card you will place for bid. Interesting. I'm going to have to think about the implications of that one there a little bit deeper. Azathoth. If you control both face up, you may flip them both face down. Okay. Score their control values as positive if you have both face down. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Deal with that one. Cthulhu, the famous Cthulhu. So many different renderings. Every time I see Cthulhu, they get more tentacles and bigger. If you control both face up, flip all your non-Cthulhu cards face down. That's an interesting one. Well, to me, that's kind of like a stay away card. I don't want this person because, this again, what is that right there? Let's see what the other side is. This card is worth 6. And the other side is 6. Wow, so that's 12. Okay, so you're really going to have to pull the trigger on that one. If you have both of these face up, if you control both face up, flip all your other cards face down. So you're really going to have to hope that having 12 is going to win it for you. Oh, boy, what a cool implication that is. Shoggoth. 3 control, 3 influence. Remember, that's spending power. If you control both face up, you may flip one face down. Then flip one face card. Then flip one face-up card and opponent controls face down. Ooh, that's a real take that move. That's pretty cool. Okay, and that's basically it. Those are all the cards. The other opponent has the same ones. So you can kind of see there's a lot of interesting mixes in there, between that boss and your personality. Boy, I really want to play this over and over. And I do encourage you when you play this to play it with the different personalities. There's an option where you don't play with them at all. It adds a whole nother level of strategy to it because you have to kind of like pull back and beware. And in a way, now that I'm thinking about it, it kind of reminds me of Watergate in a way. Kind of interesting because you never know when someone's going to pull the trigger. So anyway, that's a cool game. I'm hoping to get that on the table more, especially during this crazy time. So that is Seals of Cthulhu. And this is put out by Thing 12 Games. Good people, by the way. Okay, so check that game out. See if that's for you. I'm digging it. It's out of the ordinary. I like the mechanics. If you can think of a game that plays like this, please let me know. I really don't know one that does. And if you have questions about gameplay, I'm happy to help. So until next time, friends, thank you so much. Be well, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.